All right, guys, today I'm going to be talking about 3 key investing tips, tricks, ideas, and just overall usable bits of information, knowledge that you might be able to apply to your everyday Pokemon investing life. All right, let's get into it. So the first idea I want to talk about, guys, is differentiating between investing and collecting. So what do I mean by that, guys? So when we talk about investing versus collecting, you can't really say that you're an investor. And I say this with complete respect. If you never really sell anything, you can't really call it investing.
What's all gone?
The money in your account, it didn't do too well, it's gone.
Really what you're doing is aggressive collecting, if not hoarding, of a lot of certain products if you're buying multiples of certain things. So my best advice in that sense is if you're someone who is holding a lot of product and you really don't sell a lot, you should think about starting to engage with some sort of a selling site or platform where you might be able to recycle those items that you might have a lot of equity in, or they've appreciated a lot, gone up in value, and sell those products. And that way you can, number one, realize your equity and your initial investment, and then number two, you can start to again buy into certain products that could recirculate that process and bring you similar types of results. I think this is a really important part of what we do, and it's something that I'm even not really good at myself. And obviously, I'm kind of the exception in this sense. Again, not saying that in a braggadocious type of way, but I have a channel and we do live breaks, and that kind of gets in the way of me aggressively trying to buy and flip, because that's not what I'm trying to do, right? I'm more trying to nurture the community in a sense and making a little bit of a percentage, let's say, on breaks, but not aggressively going after the buying and flipping aspect, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's just capitalism at its finest, right? But for those of you out there that are really trying to maintain a healthy collection and just a healthy kind of situation, if not machine, it's really important to realize those initial investments or realize investments in general and have a hard stop date or a sell date for those products, so then you can really repeat the process. Because like we said in the beginning, in a sense, you're really not investing if you're not selling. And that's just, my opinion on things. Some people might disagree, but if you never sell, you're just collecting, right? You're aggressively collecting. So I would highly suggest one thing that I used to do, okay? I don't do it as much anymore. Like I said, my position has kind of pivoted recently. So what I used to do is put a date on the bottom of the product. So like, let's say I bought an ETB, I would put a hard sale date on that item. And obviously you can sometimes time the market, right? Look what's happening with Sun and Moon right now and those singles, right? It doesn't have to be sealed product specifically, but it's much easier to, give time in the market than try to time the market. So I like to give a hard stop date, and usually I would do like 4 or 5 years. That was usually my time. I know that's a long time for some people, but it could be a 2-year turnaround. But once you get to that 2 years, then you're starting to really circulate your product, and you can obviously keep something for yourself.
Kidding me? I got a whole closet full.
Here.
Yeah. Call them keepers.
Anything that's in excess and things that you had like really big wins on, you can sell those things off and realize your equity. All right, so this is a huge one. We're gonna talk about diversification. I actually just talked about this at Card Party, which we'll be having an episode on, but I talked about diversifying your portfolio or your collection in general, or your investment pieces. I'm of a mind that in general, I would rather have a few of a lot of things rather than like 100 of one thing. Now, depending on what type of person you are and really what your position is, again, in the hobby, let's say you have a big store, you could buy 1,000 of something at really cheap, and that makes a lot of sense, because let's say that something goes up a couple dollars, now you have multiple thousands of dollars in pure profit, right? And we're talking about after, costs, expenses, shipping, all that stuff. You get what I'm saying? But I'm kind of the mind that I might want to just spread my chips around a little bit on the table before I go all in on one specific product. And I think that this is a usable tactic when it comes to investing, because you want to have your money spread out on the table a lot of times, because we're not all whales, myself included. I don't have the capital or the facilities to go out and buy 1,000 of one certain type of booster box. Number one, I don't have the space. Number two, I don't have the capital. And number three, I only have one wife and she might leave me then 0 wives. But you get what I'm saying. You want to diversify yourself, and really that minimizes risk a lot of times. And it also is a good teacher for you personally on certain types of products and certain things that work and don't work. That's an important tool when it comes to trying to invest and diversify. So this next one is really key, guys, and that is to take a long-term approach or mentality when it comes to these investments. And I'll tell you why. If you always go long-term, there's a pretty simple formula that I think we can follow, and that is low initial entry point when it comes to purchasing, so at or under retail if possible, plus time. Usually I like to start counting once that set is out of print, but what we know about Pokemon is nothing really is out of print. Let's just say 2 years. After 2 years, we start counting from that time. Maybe we have a hard cutoff at 1 or 2, but we're looking at the long-term approach. I think it's not the right mindset to think that, oh, we're going to double our money in a month. That's not realistic, number one, and really that's how scalpers and flippers tend to look at it. And really flipping is not as negative in my mind as scalping is, but both kind of have a short-term high payoff mentality, which is what they're looking for. I'm more of the mind of giving a lot of time in the market and it's all going to be gravy afterwards.
Just smile and wave, boys.
Really what I fall back on is Pokemon has a very, very good track record. If you took any product, let's say from, let's use 3 years, let's use 2 or 3 years, okay? So let's take any product that is from 2020 and older. Can you buy it right now at or under retail? My guess is probably not. There might be a few exceptions here and there, but I would say the majority of items, like 99.99%, you've had some sort of a positive increase, whether it's single raws, even, paraphernalia or just toys even that are out of print. I mean, anything you can think of, obviously sealed product, all of those items gradually increase over time. It's just the Pokemon way, really.
This is the way.
Another thing, guys, is keep up on your investments. You really want to keep track of what you're buying, how much you're buying for, and you want to really draw lines on your field. And what I mean by that is take care of your purse or wallet, right? Have a set or locked in or, rough within a few percent, whatever you want to, higher or lower, but have a set amount of money that you want to allocate towards your Pokemon investments or really just investments in general. But have that locked in and don't really stray away from that, because if you have, pretty tight rules for yourself, your approach is very calculated when it comes to this, you're going to have much better results, because you're not going to be like throwing, again, like how we talked about, all your chips down on one number out of nowhere randomly because you feel like you have that degenerate itch and you want to spin the wheel as hard as you can. You know what I mean? So really you want to take care or stay on top of your investments, and you also want to have pretty strict rules for yourself when it comes to how, when, how many, and for how much, I guess. I'm going to end the video with this one, guys, and I think it's the most important. I almost mentioned it first just to start the video off right, but I feel like I wanted to leave it towards the end so it could be the most impactful. If you can't afford to invest yet, just don't. And again, I don't want to tell anyone what to do with their money. I'm not a financial investor or professional or whatever, but I have been in the Pokemon space buying and selling profitably for 10 years, so we can fall back on that. What I can tell you is that I've broken my own rule a few times, and I felt the repercussions of that, because you can't really invest with money you don't have, and especially don't put it on a credit card, because what happens is it breaks the other rule of not having a short-term mentality for realizing your equity in the investment. You want to have a long-term mindset, and with that, you can't be doing that with allocated funds that you need for everyday life. Like, you never want to be spending house money. That's a rule, okay? I always use money that's in a separate account, and if that gets depleted, it's my job as a buyer, seller, investor, whatever you want to say, it's my job to build that back up so I have the means to re-enter the hobby into a different product. That doesn't mean that I take money off of my wife's plate or my kid's plate or my own plate out of our, mutual stash. You want to really be using funds that you've created out of air with the tools that we've talked about today and the moves that we've talked about, right? That's the optimal way to approach this, because really, money gained is less hurt than money lost if it's not out of your own account, if that makes sense. It's easier to gamble with someone else's money, even though it's yours, and then lose. But, if you follow the tips, you'll never lose. But I hope that makes sense. Don't overextend yourself if you don't have to. and really, really try to approach this as conservatively as you can, just starting out. Again, not telling you how to spend your money, but I'm talking from experience, and I'm saying it from a friendship point of view, or a place where I care about what happens to you guys at the end of the day in life, not just in Pokemon. All right, guys, that's going to be it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. This is back to the basics, man. We're going back to our roots. We're talking to the people. We're a man of the people. We care about you guys. I care about you guys. I was so happy to meet all you guys at Card Party. Hit all the buttons. I love you all. I'm going to see you on the next live or the next episode. Peace out.
Yeah, I'm talking to you. It's time to hit the button already. Do it now. What do you think, I'm dancing for free here?